The Galactic Academy's advanced xenobiology classroom fell into stunned silence as Professor Kethvar's secondary arms trembled, nearly dropping the containment field generator. The creature that had just materialized in the center of the lecture hall was nothing short of a nightmare. 8 segmented legs, each ending in razor-sharp claws, supported a bulbous body covered in iridescent chitin that gleamed with toxic secretions. Twin fangs, each longer than a Kethvar's primary finger, dripped with venom so potent it could dissolve steel. The creature's multiple compound eyes swiveled independently, scanning the room with predatory intelligence while emitting a low, threatening hiss that made several students' exoskeletons rattle in terror. "Behold!" Professor Kethvar's voice cracked through the translator. "The arachnid mortis, one of the most feared predators in the Andromeda sector. Its venom can kill a full-grown Kethvari in 3.7 seconds, and its hunting instincts are so refined that..." The soft gasp interrupted the lecture, but not one of fear. Every head in the classroom turned toward the sound's source, the lone human exchange student Sarah Chen, who sat in the back row with her hands pressed to her cheeks and her eyes wide with what could only be described as delight. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered, her voice carrying clearly in the deadly quiet room. "It's absolutely adorable." The arachnid mortis, responding to her voice, turned all 16 of its eyes toward her. Its mandibles clicked menacingly, and toxic foam began bubbling from its mouth. Several Zephyrian students immediately activated their personal force fields, while the crystalline Vorthon representative began rapidly cycling through panic colors. But Sarah Chen did something that defied every instinct of every sentient species in the room. She stood up. "Professor," Sarah called out, raising her hand like an eager student, "can I pet it?" The silence that followed was so complete that the ambient hum of the space station's life support systems seemed deafening. Professor Kethvar's mouth parts worked soundlessly, trying to process what he'd just heard. Excuse me?" he finally managed. "Can I pet it?" Sarah repeated, already moving down the aisle toward the creature. "Look at those fuzzy little legs, and those big, beautiful eyes. Is that silk coming from its spinnerets? Oh, that's so cool." The arachnid mortis reared, back on its hind legs, displaying its full terrifying height of nearly 2 meters. Its fangs gleamed as it prepared to strike, venom now flowing freely down its mandibles. Sarah paused about 3 meters away and crouched down, making herself smaller. She extended one hand slowly, palm up, and began making soft clicking sounds with her tongue. "Hey there, beautiful," she cooed in the gentle tone she'd once used with her neighbor's German shepherd. "Aren't you just gorgeous? Look at that shiny carapace and those powerful legs. You're like a big spider, aren't you?" "Yes, you are." The classroom held its collective breath. Professor Kethvar fumbled for the emergency containment protocols, while simultaneously trying to calculate how quickly human medical services could respond to a venom casualty. But something extraordinary happened. The arachnid mortis tilted its head, a gesture no xenobiologist had ever documented in the species. Its aggressive posture relaxed slightly, and the venom flow decreased to a slow drip. One leg stretched forward tentatively, not in attack, but in what appeared to be curiosity. "That's right, sweetie," Sarah continued, her voice maintaining that same gentle cadence. "I know you're probably scared. New place, lots of strange smells, but you're safe here. Nobody's going to hurt you." She shuffled forward another half-meter, still crouched low. The arachnid mortis didn't retreat. If anything, it leaned slightly toward her, its multiple eyes focusing with an intensity that seemed less predatory and more interested. "Professor Kethvar," whispered Zixon, a Centaurian student known for his analytical mind. "Are you recording this? Because according to every behavioral study ever conducted, what we're witnessing is impossible." Professor Kethvar was indeed recording, though his hands shook so badly he nearly dropped the device twice. Sarah was now close enough that the creature's legs could easily reach her. Instead of striking, however, the arachnid mortis extended one leg and gently touched her outstretched palm. The contact lasted only a moment, but it was unmistakably deliberate, a tentative greeting between species. "Oh," Sarah gasped with delight. careful not to make any sudden movements. You're even softer than I thought. And look how careful you're being with those claws. You're not a monster at all, are you? You're just misunderstood. The creature made a sound. Not the threatening hiss from before, but something softer, almost melodic. It reminded several students of a purr, though no arachnid species was known to produce such vocalizations. "This is impossible, Professor," Kethvar muttered, his scientific mind struggling to process the scene before him. The arachnid mortis is a perfect killing machine. It has no social behaviors, no capacity for non-aggressive interaction with other species. It exists solely to hunt and reproduce. Sarah heard him and looked up briefly, still maintaining her position near the creature. "Maybe it's not that simple," she suggested. "On Earth, we used to think sharks were mindless killing machines too, until we learned more about them. And spiders, most people are terrified of spiders, but I've always found them fascinating. They're actually quite intelligent and sensitive to their environment." As if to prove her point, the arachnid mortis moved closer, allowing Sarah to run her fingers along one of its legs. The creature's eyes tracked the movement with what could only be described as contentment. "Humans," said Veltar, a senior student, from the Spiral Arm colonies, "are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most foolish." "Both," replied Sarah cheerfully, never taking her attention away from the creature. "We have a saying on Earth, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting in spite of it. Though honestly, I'm not scared right now. This beautiful creature isn't showing any aggressive signals. Its body language is curious, not hostile." Professor Kethvar found his voice. "Miss Chen, that creature's body language has been described by xenobiologists as universally threatening. Every gesture it makes is designed to intimidate prey. Before the kill." Sarah finally stood up slowly, the arachnid mortis tracking her movement but making no aggressive motions. "With respect, Professor, maybe the problem is that xenobiologists have only encountered this species in threatening situations. Laboratory settings, forced containment, combat scenarios. What if this is what they're like when they're not scared? Or defensive?" She turned back to the creature, which had now settled into what appeared to be a relaxed position, its legs folded beneath its body in a way that minimized its threatening profile. "You know what I think?" Sarah continued, addressing both the class and the creature. "I think someone just needed a friend." The arachnid mortis made that purring sound again, longer this time, and several of its eyes closed in what looked remarkably like contentment. In the stunned silence that followed, Professor Kethvar realized he would need to revise his entire curriculum on predatory xenofauna, and possibly rethink everything he thought he knew about humans. After all, any species that could look at the galaxy's most feared predator and see a potential friend was clearly operating on a completely different level than the rest of galactic civilization. As Sarah continued to gently interact with the creature, now sitting cross-legged beside it while it rested peacefully, one thought echoed through every mind in the classroom. Humanity was going to change everything.